Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Investing Bros. It is Tuesday, March 28th, and I know that date very well because it is my birthday. Those of you guys who are fans of The Office, which is my favorite show all time, will be very, very familiar with that scene from the birthday scene that Dwight just has on the office door. It is your birthday. And that is how I feel. I told people, you might hate me for it. I'm not the biggest birthday person in the world, but thank you to everyone in chat who is wishing me a happy birthday. It is going to be a phenomenal show. We got a lot to break down this morning. The biggest headline, of course, has got to be the newest line of Binance FUD. What does this mean, not only for CZ and Binance, but for crypto in general? We got a special guest coming on today to help us break this down, not only from the charts, but giving us his opinions on what is next for the crypto market. And that is Tom Crown. So make sure you don't go anywhere. He's going to be popping up here in just a second. With that said, though, I have two other co-hosts I would love to introduce to you guys this morning. First, I got the amazing T-Shroom. How are you doing, T-Shroom?
I'm doing better than I deserve, Tim. Doing really, really good. And I'm well caffeinated this morning. So I've got a lot of opinions and thoughts on the breaking news that is coming across our headlines. But I've also got a quote for you here. So if you'll go over to my screen, you'll see the statistics show that those who have the most birthdays live the longest. So happy birthday to you, Tim. I hope you have a lot of them.
Factually, that is true. You're not wrong there. I do have one question before I introduce the other guys. Your background, you have a drill. Have you been performing lobotomies or anything recently?
I have not been performing as many that I usually do. So I've been cutting back. Yeah, but I left it there post lobotomy this morning.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. We're also joined by Army Piper. How are you doing, my friend?
Brother, I'm doing fantastic. Charts are looking good. Market's looking good. I've got friends, and I get to celebrate your birthday with you virtually here. So I'm doing great, man.
Yes. Yes, it is going to be awesome. Got a full day. People were asking me, like, what are you doing for your birthday day? I was like, well, work. That's part of adult life. You work. But it's going to be a good day. Playing pickleball tonight, one of my new favorite hobbies. So it's going to be a good day. Going to be a good day all the way around. We are also joined, of course, by the amazing, the great king of the FOMC day, as we were talking about pre-show. That's right. Tom Crown is in the house. How are you doing this morning, Tom?
Oh man, it's a little bit before my wake up time, but I'm pushing through it for you guys. And I didn't know it was your birthday, man. Happy birthday! That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, it's my birthday. Who should we have on? Tom Crown.
Plot twist. Thank you. I was invited to your birthday party. This is like official. I feel really good about it.
You were, yeah. You have not pissed me off, so you were allowed to come to my birthday party, as that famous thing goes. I was that kid who, if you made me mad as a child, I would threaten you with the birthday party invite, and it usually worked.
Good, it's your birthday. Yeah, you make the rules.
Yeah, that's the truth. That is the truth. We're about to jump in here and do a lot of TA with Tom this morning, break some of this stuff down, but we do have to go into our traditional morning routine of reading the names of people in chat. And we got to start off with the first commenter of the day, Mr. Al Bundles. I believe this is 3 days in a row for him.
He's got a bot.
And we're pretty certain he's the bot, because when we posted, we clicked send. T-Shroom said it popped up immediately. We hit send, T-Shroom said, I got it, and Al Bundle still beat him. Yeah. So we're not really 100% certain how that worked out, but Al, congratulations once again for being the first commenter. Of course, as I mentioned, T-Shroom is here as well with his comment. Eric Wallen is in the house today as well. Crypto Trades is here. Mr. J. Joe Nickel. Mr. J also left a super chat saying happy birthday. Thank you so much, Mr. J. Who else do we have here? Elliot Locke is here. Mike Play, Joe Watkins, Stephen E. Shrum is here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's always a different, because he has like 3 different accounts, I think. And it's always a different one that comments first, but I love it. Mr. Bitcoin is here this morning. Mike Lowry, Justin Eubanks, J. N. Carr, Gia S. Let's see here. Who else is here? Crypto JMP is here. Yair Navarro, Crux of Crypto with the Blue Wrench. Elo Brown is in the house. By the way, I just want to give a special shout out to Elo Brown. He is phenomenal. I'm not gonna get into too many details, but he's been doing things behind the scenes just to try to bless us and love on us. He is a big fan of the channel, and I want to give a special shout out to him because he is an amazing human being. If you're not friends with Elo Brown, you're doing something wrong with your life. Go be friends with him. Brian D is here as well. Crypto Ben Franklin, everyone's favorite non-president, is here. Kryptonian? Kryptonian is here. Grand Roofing Incorporated, crypto military vet. By the way, speaking of crypto military vet, we have been talking behind the scenes, and we're going to start making announcements. We're going to give official dates, but we're working to create a crypto vet stream coming up. I believe what we talk about Army Piper. I think Veterans Day. That's here coming up at the end of May.
It'll be Memorial Day.
Memorial Day,
and it'll be May 26th
okay.
Is what we're looking at.
I always confuse which one comes first, Veterans Day or Memorial Day. But yeah, we're going to get like all the influencers that are formerly in the military and have a big stream talking about why everyone in the military, whether you're active or a vet, why you should be investing in cryptocurrency. Let's get a couple more names here, and then we're going to jump in with some content. Ninja Glock is here. Munchies is here. And let's get two more. Bob is here. And the last one, Wind Peoples. Thank you to everyone who is in chat. We got over almost 80 people here watching right now. Only 40 likes, though. So we got to get those likes up right now. Thank you to everyone who's choosing to be here this morning. If you have not subscribed already, consider subscribing to the channel. We go live every single weekday morning from 9 to 10 Eastern time. But next week on Monday, we will be going all the way until 10:30. We cover Bitcoin and crypto and stocks. We do the TA. We do the news and the sentiment and everything you need to know so that you can be investing wisely for yourself. Make sure you smash that subscribe button and join the Investing Bros. Before we jump into our TA with Tom, I do want to throw it to Piper real quick because we do want to make sure everyone is up to date and ready for big macroeconomic news events that are coming very soon. So Piper, why don't you go ahead and lay that down?
All right, Tim. So what we got going here today, stretch my screen down there a little bit. There we go. This morning we had the retail inventories come in on automobiles. It's up 0.4%. So that means that there's, the used vehicle storage is starting to build up again, which is good. That means people are slowing down on buying them. Prices are probably going to come down as, supply and demand. That's how that works, right? Goods trades balance this morning came in down $91.63 billion. So, that's down a little bit. However, what I do want to point out is this week, the big event that we have coming up this week is going to be on Friday. We're going to have inflation rate year over year for the European area, and that's going to be live and hot when we come on stream. And then at 6:30 in the morning, my time, 8:30 a.m. over there on the Eastern Coast for you guys, we'll have personal income, personal spending, and the big one, core PCE coming in. So we do have some initial jobless claims coming out on Thursday right here. But overall, pretty quiet week until Friday. Nothing major coming out that should affect the markets too much. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll do a really quick check over here if you share my screen this morning. Let me refresh my page, though, because you never know. These things are always going crazy. Yeah, it dropped a little bit. We're still looking at a 53% chance that in May we will have a pause in our rate hikes or rate cuts. There will be no movement whatsoever. This was 98%, though, a couple of days ago, so it is definitely swinging. We still have how many days left? 36 days, so more than a month left. Anything is still possible. There's going to be a lot of chaos. Watch these bars continue to climb and fall as we hear the news coming out. But I did want to keep you posted on what is happening there. The last one we'll do before we jump into some TA is that today's Fear and Greed Index is sitting at 59. This is down, though, from the last couple of days. If you guys were to pull up here yesterday, we were all the way up here at 64. So we are down this morning, of course, due to that dip. And speaking of that dip in Bitcoin, I want to transition and throw it over to Tom Crown and get his initial thoughts. I got lots of questions, Tom, about what you're seeing in Bitcoin's chart. But let's just start with generically looking at the charts right now. What are your observations about Bitcoin's price at this point in time?
I was just thinking while you guys were going through this. Maybe I should just come on in the middle of your show, because I go through a lot of the stuff in the morning. Maybe you guys could just do that for me, and I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's way better to hear someone else do it. I see why people watch.
Clip the first 10 minutes and then play that. We won't be upset about it, and then okay. You'll come in after.
Deal. Also, yeah, I'd love to jump into the charts here, but what I need from all the viewers out there, guys, we need more likes. We need more likes and subscribes. Come on, smash the buttons. All right. More air horns, more likes, more subscribes. Okay, we're good. So yeah, man, what's going on with Bitcoin? What a boring few days, but at the same time, some of the spiciest few days we've seen in a while, right? It's funny how it does that. We've chilled up here in like the 28s, and it's an onslaught. I don't know about you guys on the show here today, but I'm kind of exhausted from thing after thing after thing after thing after thing. Like I was sleeping really good in February, and March came around, and now, man, my sleep has gone downhill again because it's every day there's something crazy coming out. And that's really just shaking up the sentiment. I want to say, where do I start from? Because the chart is such a big thing. There's so many elements to it. Let me see if this works. So,
boom.
I did not set up right. Get that out of the way. Move over here. So this is basically, I think I've heard you talk about something like this. Lots of people are looking at this, and this is like what I'm looking at right now. And I do have a bearish take as well. Essentially, as we rose in the beginning of January over here from 16, we had the first upside price action in over a year. It was very exciting. February kind of doused that down. Excitement chilled out a little bit. We got a breath of air for a moment. And March now has been pretty wild. And from the beginning of this rally, I have been of the opinion that I think we're seeing some kind of 2019 repeat. Now, I don't know, obviously, if that means a literal repeat. Are we going to move up to, I would say, like 48K and then fall back down to like the 20s? Nobody knows. And I've pretty much said, I think it's in flux. As we move up, the more that people believe in this rally, the less likely it is to get anywhere. And that can be counterintuitive because people think, well, if people believe in it, then they're buying and it goes up. Well, I wish that's how it worked, but it doesn't really seem to, at least in Bitcoin. So what I'm digging is we are seeing potentially this broadening pattern. A lot of people freaked out yesterday on that sell-off. But according to my chart, we're right here. A lower low today could change that up. That could put this kind of below that trend line, maybe break it. Maybe that's even what we need. It depends, in my opinion, kind of where the sentiment is. And my midterm TA pretty much always goes against what the popular sentiment is at the moment. I think yesterday shook a lot of hands out, shook a lot of people out. That sell-off was pretty quick. Didn't actually go anywhere. If you zoom in, I know you guys are always on the charts too. Let me see. This is my TA from last stream. It's probably hard to look at, but this line down here is basically the lows of this local range. It's like 26.6. We just pierced it. Looks like we pierced it again this morning. That's the market grabbing liquidity. We didn't see it continue to dump. So I'm looking for some kind of move. I think in the very short term, probably is back to like 27.7. We can see if I get rid of all this. Likely a fair value gap sitting up here as this inefficient price action drove the markets lower. We did fill almost immediately the newest gap, but we still have this sitting up here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this resolve up to the 27.7 area. I don't know what's going to happen after that, obviously. But what I do like is that we aren't confident about the rally. I love it. I love it, especially where we're at, man. We're above the 200 weekly moving average on Bitcoin. We're above the 200 weekly on total crypto market cap. And I literally, in the last 48 hours, have had a flood of people join my Discord being really bearish. Like just, I'm sure you guys get them too, like just coming in, posting chart after chart after chart about how we're going to zero. And that's what I want. That made me feel really good because if everyone was really bullish right now, I would probably think that this rally's cooked at least, maybe into Q3 or something. But the sentiment is skeptical, and that's what we need on the way up. We need that disbelief. So that's where I'm at right now. Short term, that was my guess, 27.7. But who knows?
I think something you said was really funny. It's as there's a lot of confidence, or if people keep calling for rallies, that's usually when they don't go, and it makes it really hard as an influencer because you're sitting here saying, "All right, I got to read the chart, I got to get my prediction." But the more I say my prediction, other people say it as well. Then it's like the less likely it'll happen. But I don't want to lie to the audience and then not tell them what I'm believing. But there's that temptation. It's like, well, if this is going to happen, we need to talk like it's not going to happen, and that way it definitely will. So very, very hard. Not that people should have pity for us influencers out here, but these are some of the struggles we deal with on a daily basis.
Please send us your pity. Send us your likes, your pity in the form of likes. You're totally right, though. And it's funny because you look at these bigger influencers, and I don't want to name names, but someone posted something about, oh, we're going down last night. And I posted it immediately to my Discord. And I was like, oh, thank God, boys. Selling's done for now. We're all right. But like, it is really like that. And I want to drive this to people just because why not? It's like, that is real. And the bigger and the more reach you get, the more the market moves against it. And I'm not saying that these people are smart or not smart that are posting these things, like, you know, the bigger accounts, but the market literally goes against them. So whether they're right or wrong, they're going to end up being wrong, basically, with really high consistency. People love talking about Jim Cramer.
Yeah.
Jim Cramer, huge reach. I will say, I think Jim Cramer, I think he's a clown, but I think he gets a lot more crap than he should. I think the guy probably has a bunch of really good calls, and then whenever he has a bad one, that gets retweeted, that gets blown up. It's real though. You know, people were actually mad at me in my community for posting. I was streaming. I was like, should I post this on Twitter? I don't want to ruin it. And they're like, no. We voted no. And then I did anyway. And people were like, you doomed us, man. You doomed us. Now we're going to go down. But it's real. It's real.
Yeah, no, we were talking about a little bit of Jim Cramer here yesterday. I'm interested to hear your thought. Because he is wrong very frequently, especially when it comes to crypto and banks. Like, he's had a lot of bad calls with banks recently, a lot of bad calls with crypto. Do you think that it's actually him making a genuine opinion? Or do you think somebody is telling him, hey, Jim, say this so that we can kind of manipulate the market? Because he works for CNBC, major media outlet owned by people with a lot of power, and they have their own interests, and they want to kind of skew the market of how people view things. Do you think we're getting actually what Jim Cramer thinks, or is he just a puppet? Is he just a, hey, go out there and say X?
Yeah, my first thought is like, well, is anyone doing that to us? And the answer is, of course not. Nobody's telling us to do that. But again, yeah, we're not this big media conglomerate. You know, it's possible. I have no evidence of it, but I think the conspiracy theorist inside me would assume yes. I think what it really, really is, though, is so, all right, let's say Jim Cramer tomorrow says Bitcoin's going up, right? And then Bitcoin does go up. Are you going to like that? Are you going to retweet that? Are you even going to see that on your feed? And the answer is no. Like, of course not, because we don't get to make fun of him. But if it goes down, then everyone's, haha, Jim Cramer. I don't know. I mean, everyone's wrong. Every analyst is wrong. You know, I would say close to 50% of the time. So it just seems like when people fumble, the bigger you are, the more it gets shared, the more viral it goes. I don't know, man. I think the guy probably knows what he's talking about when it comes to a lot of different things. Unfortunately, he's the butt of the joke for the internet. So maybe fortunately, maybe he likes that. I don't know.
It's true. Well, let's transition here a little bit back into Bitcoin. So you kind of talked about here, you're looking maybe at a shorter term, 27.7. What is your longer term thought? And again, we talked about this. This could be a whole jinx situation where you say it's going to go this high, and that's the nail in the coffin that it's not going to go that high, or you say it goes this low, and that's the nail in the coffin. But let's just pretend, you know, we have 140 people watching. That's not too many people that can skew the market. What does Tom Crown think the actual next peak for Bitcoin could be?
So do you mean like year kind of view?
Let's talk about, okay, so we mentioned here, this is something we've talked about on this channel, the comparison to 2019. And I call it the pre-bull market rally. That rallied us back up to the golden pocket. It went to about, I think, 6,000 something. I can't remember the exact number. And then it fell 52% back. And I'm looking at the timeline of how news is coming out and how things are operating. I've made a wild prediction that I probably will not hit it right on the head, but I'm not going to be surprised to see something similar happen, where I think there's a very real chance we could go all the way to 50,000, which is the golden pocket, and then have a 50% pullback down to these current levels, maybe even hit that 25.2 former resistance. And then the bull market starts later. And when you formulate the pieces of what's coming out in the news, there's with the banks printing money now, and the lack of confidence in the US dollar, that would warrant a Bitcoin rally. But then we're going to have things like the G7 is going to be meeting here later in May to discuss some stricter crypto regulations. NASDAQ is going to be allowing people to trade Bitcoin and Ethereum, but that doesn't always necessarily mean they're going to buy it. They might want to short it, especially if it just had a massive pump all the way up to somewhere between 42 and 50,000. That's kind of the narrative that we've been talking about in a shorter timeline. What do you think? Let's say that we do get a lot of bullish pressure. Let's say we see some numbers come out that is showing the U.S. population and along with the rest of the world has kind of lost faith in the dollar, at least short term. How far do you think Bitcoin could go before it hits rejection?
I mean, I'm looking at something really similar. I've been saying I'm looking for 48K before May 1st. That's pretty bold. I don't like to do bold predictions often, but I'm sticking with that until proven otherwise. And I think even in the next week or so, I could consider that proven otherwise. But at the moment, I think we're on track. I kind of showed that broadening wedge thing. Fortunately, everyone's looking at it. So I have a hunch, like that does fit 2019 well. If you look at the log chart, it's a 618 retracement. If you look at the linear charts, it's 7, 8. It's too early for numbers for me, but it would fit really well in that 48 area. And so this is the thing. All through 2020 and 2021, I was a younger, less experienced trader then, but I was looking for that cycle to repeat. I had said, this is the history we have. What else are we going to use to try to judge, the upcoming cycle, the highs, the lows, etc., except for the past? Nothing. And I will admit, and I've had to admit this many times, that really did not work well for me. Like I'll say it. It didn't work well. Bitcoin going to 69,000 doesn't fit anything. If 15.5 is the bottom, that doesn't really fit anything in the past either. And so what I'm hoping for is I'm going to keep looking for that 2019 repeat because I don't have anything else to work with. But I'm praying that again, I'm going to be wrong. And again, it's not going to fit the previous cycles. So if it does, you're right. 48K, I think we could make arguments of like kind of the 43 range, 48 or 50 flat. And the thing I like actually about 50, even though I don't think that really fits quite as well as 48, I like 50 because when we hear that number, 50 sounds so much bigger. And please don't make fun of me, because it obviously is bigger than the numbers lower than it. But 50 is a very psychological number. And I think that's the number that if retail hears it, they're going to say, oh man, this is happening again. I got to get in. And that would very likely or very possibly be some kind of like, multi-month, maybe half-year trap. But I'm praying what really happens. So you and I are talking about 48K right now. I've heard many channels, or at least in their thumbnails, talk about 48K. What I really want to see is, it doesn't even matter if it's May 1st or whatever, but Bitcoin moved to 48K. I want everyone on the planet to say, ha, we called it, tops in, we're all short. That's what I want to see happen. And I want to see it just blow past. I want to see a new all-time high this year.
Yeah.
I think that's the recipe.
And I think that's something you alluded to earlier that I was going to say. You said if we all call for 50,000, that's of course what it's not going to. If we all have call for 48, so close. I know it's $2,000 difference. I'll also say your answer. It's like a Kamala Harris answer. 48,000 is bigger than 42,000. In case people didn't know that. No, if we call that, what I'm not going to be surprised to see is, even though a lot of people, Tom, like you and I, are talking about 48, 50,000, that area, watch us jump up to like the higher 30s, and we're still climbing, and everyone's like, that's it. This is the bull market. We're going new all-time highs. And that's why I think there's still that good chance that we do, end up topping out there, that 48, that 50. And go to my screen here real quick, Piper. The reason 42, in case anyone was wondering why I've said 42 to 50, kind of what Tom Crown and other technical analysts are looking at here. Fibonacci retracement, this 0.5 is 42,000. Like, what is that? Yeah, it's like 42,000 almost on the dot. The golden pocket starts at the 48.3, which, fun fact, by the way, the last time we touched that little peak was March 28th, 1 year ago today, was when we had that little peak, and everyone's like, here we go, we're going back to new all-time highs. And then
that's a good tweet.
We did not. We very much did not. But then the top of that level is the 50,195. That's what I'm kind of keeping my eyes on. If you were to go back, this is the weekly chart. If you were to go back here, which I've been doing a lot of other analysis back here, so what am I going to do? I'll just leave all that chaos up there. It won't bother me. If you guys were to go back and look at this Fibonacci, look at what we do with the weekly chart. We don't actually close a single weekly candle above the 0.5. So there's a chance with this, when we do this run, we don't see candles of the weekly chart close above 42,000, but we did have one wick that shot up almost to the top range of that golden pocket. That's kind of like what we are referring to, in case anyone here is watching is like, hey, why is everyone talking about 48,000? Why are people talking about 50,000? If there's other reasons, people might use other reasons. That's the reason I've been talking about it. And so that's going to be very interesting to watch those two levels. And as Tom said, it could be one of those things that if everyone believes it's happening here, we're not going to quite get there. Or does the whole narrative switch and we kind of get to a boat of saying, oh, no, here we go. This is the new bull market. And then we end up stopping just short. Let's go ahead and transition here, Tom, though. You can go off my screen.
I have a question for you, Tim.
Oh, you have a question? Yeah.
Yeah. What was the percentage move from the 50 to the golden pocket this cycle, last cycle compared to this cycle? What would that percentage difference be?
Well, it depends on what you're looking at here. So the momentum, I've said that the momentum really started back in February of 2019.
No, from the 50% line.
Yeah,
I'll
go. Wait, from here to
50. Yeah, how like that wick? How big was that wick there?
Okay, that wick was about 20.77%. And you're asking what would it be now?
Correct.
We did it again here. Let's see. About 18.
Yeah, absolutely
18,
feasible.
19.
Absolutely
Yeah.
feasible. That's a good call, Tim.
Yeah.
That's why you're the bro
fester. Shoot up. There we go. Well, let's go ahead and you go off my screen now. We're going to throw it back over to Tom. I want to get his take on probably the most explosive coin of the week. And when I say probably, it's because there's probably some obscure coin out there that did like 1,000x that nobody's ever heard of. But XRP has been on a tear here recently. It is up now. It came back down below, but it touched 50 cents here this morning. What are your thoughts, Tom, about XRP?
Yeah, I've actually looked at it a few times over the last few weeks, and I don't really, like without even pulling up the chart, XRP, when it's under about 55 cents at this point, in my opinion, it just really isn't doing anything. I know people are really excited about it. If you'd watched my streams for the last few weeks, we nailed XRP pretty good. Just doing like a trade from like 42 to 50 cents. Below 55 is just not exciting to me. It's just under its previous highs. It's kind of, if you look back at maybe the last months of it, that's just all it's done is moved kind of from like the 30s to the 50s. It hasn't moved. If it breaks 55, don't get me wrong, guys, I'll get excited too. I'll be like, let's go. Let's see where this thing can run to. I think above about 61.8 cents. It has some significant upside potential, but it's just not there yet. It was interesting to see it run yesterday, kind of with the rest of the market dumping. In fact, I think you are correct. I'm sure there were other coins, but certainly no coins in the top 100 had any green gain yesterday, I think, outside of XRP. So, I mean, if you're an XRP fan out there, celebrate that, enjoy. But it's just not exciting to me. It's not exciting to me until it like actually can get into these highs. And let me see if I can throw this over here. There's a lot on this chart, man. You can tell because, like I said, it's just been doing this. And so I can't get hype about it yet. I know that this is way too much to look at, but
here's the thing, Tom. If your chart doesn't look like a mad scientist, you're not a real technical analyst. So that's a good looking chart.
This is an embarrassing chart for me. I pride myself on clean charts, but yeah, we had a really cool day. I was streaming, I think, the 21st when we were running up 250s. And everyone was FOMOing and saying, oh, man, I got to get in. I was like, guys, just chill here. We have a resistance. This is a psychological level. I was like, we have a very strong support at about 41, 42 cents. If you're patient, FOMO in today, you're likely going to get an entry. And I said, here, I'll even throw a little long position up. And it actually looks like this morning it actually did hit 50 cents. Hey, there we go. What it does from here, I have no idea. I'm just, whether it goes back down from 50 cents, that wouldn't really surprise me. You really got to get up into like this higher range. You can't see that. Higher range. You got to come back to, where was this? Kind of 2021 December's low. We got to see some progress to the upside. I'm not being pessimistic on it. I'm not saying it won't do this. It's just, I can't get excited for a coin while it's in the same range it's been in for 330 days. It's a pretty tight range as well. So, yeah, I don't have much else to say. I do think if you break about 61, you can make it to $1 pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know part of this. I did a video about this yesterday, actually, over on Chart Prime's channel, discussing the biggest thing we're looking at right now isn't even in the charts. And as a technical analyst, you love looking at the charts, and the charts do confirm news. But this is one of the few cases where it's like, hey, news can really be very dramatic, and you might not see things happening on the charts. It came out, I don't know, Tom, if you saw this, that it is very much looking like those Hinman files are going to be released. that they're going to be very damning to the SEC. And Johnny Deaton, he's the lawyer for Ripple who's been going and making rounds. People know his name pretty well. He's predicting there could be an answer, a conclusion by the end of even this week, if not the next week or two. So I think there's a lot of hype going on over there. The last thing I'd say there, you can go and share my screen, Piper, is it has been ever since January. So it's not like this is very fresh, but even like some of the ranges you're talking about there, Tom, we were in a falling wedge pattern that we just broke out of here back in January. So even though you still want to keep your eyes here on potentially this little zone here. Let me get a pattern. I think you're very right. You got to kind of watch that 55 cents and say, hey, you know what? We got to top out even the more local support and resistance. But the fact that we're heading back that way outside of the falling wedge pattern, a lot of resistance sitting right here with that falling level. And of course, we ended up touching it perfectly. Now it's like, hey, with the combination of the fresh news, the updates that this almost 3-year lawsuit could be coming to a close, could that be a major win for XRP holders? This is a big one that people have been speculating on because it's been so suppressed due to that lawsuit. Does it almost operate like a spring that finally gets released? And XRP, could we see it be like the number one mover of this next bull market? A lot of thoughts there. What would you think, Tom? Do you think there's a chance that XRP could be the biggest mover of the top 100 coins?
Man, I always feel like a party people when I talk about XRP.
There we go.
At the moment, XRP is just the boy who cried wolf. It's been 3 years. It's been 3 years of this. Every week I see some article of huge piece of evidence is out. Look, I want XRP to win their case. Doesn't matter if I think it's a security or not, or what I feel about it. I want them to win. I want the SEC to lose every case it's filing against everyone right now. But I don't know, how many times can you get excited about the same thing realistically? Like, oh, this time there's an even bigger piece of evidence. Just wait till it's over. Wait till there's a decision. And like, that's how I'm feeling. It doesn't mean, I don't know, it doesn't mean sell your bags and rebuy them then. But like, I own XRP. I've owned it since 2017 or something. It's just sitting there, and I'd love to see it go up. But speculating on this court case just seems so crazy to me at this point. It reminds me even of their the flare drop. You know, when the heck did the flare drop thing start, and how long has it been? And is it finally out? I don't think I have any, even though I was supposed to. I've just, in crypto, I'm so skeptical of these like kind of timed events that come from centralized sources, like, you know, these court cases. They just never seem to end. It's almost like crypto devs are the lawyers. You know, they give you a date, and it's years later, and they're almost done. They're almost done, guys. Just a few more days. I don't know. Biggest mover. My only kind of maybe objection to it being the biggest mover in the 100 is its market cap is really large already. It's still, I was actually thinking that yesterday. Holy crap, it's pretty impressive. XRP has not really moved in years, and it's still holding a solid top 10 spot. Like, that's pretty wild, actually. My baby Litecoin has fallen out of the top 10 spot in that same amount of time. And it doesn't have any SEC case or anything against it.
Right.
But can it make big upside gains? Absolutely. You know, like, absolutely it can. There's a lot of room really in the entire market right now. Lots of things are down very large. So by the peak of the next cycle, I mean, at least to retest its all-time high by the peak of the next bull cycle, I don't know why you would argue against that. That's a 10x from here. Nah, not quite now because it's moved up. But to be the largest in the top 100, I mean, top 10, maybe top 10, but top 100, I think is a hard move just because its cap is so big to begin with. That's really the only reason I would say probably not, but still could have lots of gains.
No, I feel you on the boy that cried wolf. They're always saying the things about strange. But here's the thing, Tom. You know, I know it's easy to be a cynic and say, oh, here's just the newest time they're going to say it's over. But we had the same thing with ETH 2.0. I mean, all the amount of time that ETH was supposed to become a staking protocol, and we waited years for that, and then it finally came. So there will be a day that XRP finally gets out of this lawsuit. Why not this week? Why not this time? Why not
right now?
Faith like children. Yeah, right. Breaking news. No, I'm just kidding.
It's in. Oh God, we're about to. The damage we've done. The damage we've done by saying that.
We've got a super chat that
came in. Oh,
yeah, it will. We had a super chat that came in from Elliot Locke saying, "Happy B-Day, big dog. What is the estimated decision date around above 3 Moon XTC?" asked if the alts will run if XRP wins the case. I want to know this too. And okay, I think he's commenting on someone's name because I don't know what that is. Okay, so yeah, there's a comment above 3 Moon XTC said XRP wins over the SEC equals altcoins move up or no. You know what, Tom? I'll let you answer that one first, and I'll kind of clean up. What do you think? If let's we're getting back into our imaginary dreamland castle.
Yes.
XRP this week wins against the SEC. What happens to altcoins?
You know, because this has been such a long battle, and I want to say also because fiat, you know, Coinbase was forced to delist or choosing, I don't really remember if they were forced or not, but delisted XRP.
Yeah.
So in the hypothetical where right now they win the case, obviously I think that XRP would go up in price. I think that that is a pretty logical assumption. Simply via maybe they're relisted, their access to new liquidity. I also think, you know, XRP people are not going to like this, but Ripple itself, the largest holder of XRP, likely to pump their own coin on that news because people will be FOMOing. But what does that mean for the greater alt market? I mean, I think we could suggest that Bitcoin dominance would see a little weakness, maybe right off the news. I don't know if that would be long lasting or just an immediate move. That might not be great for other alts in the very short term, right? If you're seeing capital flood to XRP, that means it's not flooding to different sources, not flooding to Bitcoin, not flooding to other alts. Might not be the most bullish thing for other alts. I don't know. This hypothetical is a hard one.
Yeah, it's. I think that XRP would obviously have the biggest boost from the win, but I think the reason why you would see alts kind of follow suit, and I think you'd see the crypto space in general, you know, go up, is because there is that looming question that's been over our heads. Is like, hey, what's going to be classified as a security? What's going to be classified as a commodity? A win for XRP and Ripple would be a precedent-setting win. Now, as we were watching, we're talking about it here in just a couple of minutes here in the news. It doesn't really matter when you win a lawsuit. If they don't like you, they're just going to appeal. However, hopefully, a win for XRP. This is why it's really important that they have a win, not a settlement. At this point, I think a settlement would actually be a win for the SEC. If they can win the lawsuit, that then will be used for everyone else. So when Ethereum goes through the ringer, when Cardano probably inevitably goes through the ringer, when all these other proof-of-stake protocols get entered into their own little lawsuit with Coinbase too, when they go in their lawsuit with the SEC, if they can point and say, well, look at what the judge ruled over here against XRP, that's confidence that they should be able to win their lawsuit as well. So for those reasons, again, XRP takes the lead, but I think other altcoins could definitely rally if we get an XRP win there, because a win for XRP will be a win for the crypto space as a whole. We're going to go ahead and transition here. Tom, feel free to stay with us. If you need to go, don't need to explain. You guys, you can just jump out of the call whenever you want. But we're going to jump into some news stories because this was a very, very big, important day. Would love for you to stick around and get your opinion on them as well, but I definitely understand if you got to go.
Well, I guess we'll see. We'll see. I wanted to say two things though.
Yeah,
you're right. And I wasn't thinking about that. It's early. My brain's still waking up. The precedent set. That's why I said I want XRP to win. I want the SEC to lose every case. Is the precedent set. This is how courts work. Courts are all about precedent. And the first ruling is going to have a rippling effect on every enforcement action and case going forward.
Effect. I see what you did there.
Yeah, I have to throw them a bone every once in a while. But you're right, that could have some good implications on other alts. I think that obviously wouldn't be day zero, like kind of what I was hypotheticalizing, but in the mid long term, yeah, you don't. If you are not a proof of work network chain, you want XRP to win so they don't use that precedent against your coin, your project in the future. Absolutely. And so that would be positive. I think it'd be positive for the whole space. The one thing I did want to circle back on so fast and not a lot.
Oh yeah.
Just because you said you alluded to it. It was something about 2019. Something I remember really clearly, and I haven't heard anyone talk about, so I just wanted to bring this up again, is so in 2019, a really interesting thing happened in June. So these are the monthly candles on that rally. So if we're comparing today to this rally, we had the highest monthly close since the all-time high. I remember that so clearly because I got super excited and I was like, that means we're going to the moon. But I don't really know if there's anything even to go off on this. I just wanted to point this out that maybe in this rally, we should be looking for something like this, some kind of close on some time frame that's really convincing. And then maybe we should try to take some caution if we're in that mindset that it's going to repeat.
Well, and last thing I know is we're in transition news, but you don't get Tom Crown on your show every single day, so I love going off script here. The other thing I'm looking at is during that whole period, the altcoins, it's not that the altcoins didn't go up. Like, there weren't as many back then, obviously, but like Ethereum, Cardano, they had little rallies, but they didn't even outpace Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin had the largest rally.
Of course not.
That's another thing I'm looking for over the next couple of months. Do we see Bitcoin dominance continue to climb? Do we see it continue to outpace other altcoins? If the answer is yes, that's going to keep me very skeptical that this is actually a bull market. If we see altcoins start to outpace Bitcoin, then I'm a little bit leaning the boat of saying, is this a bull market? Because that's what happens during bull markets. That's going to be my deciding factor.
That's exactly what happened in 2019. Bitcoin went up. Alts didn't necessarily go down in dollars. They stayed pretty flat. Some of them declined. Some of them grew a little bit, but they all got absolutely slaughtered versus Bitcoin in their Bitcoin pair. And that is what we're seeing now as Bitcoin hit like 48%. And Tim, you're right. You're right on, man. You're right on. If we see 50% dominance break and we head up to like 60, I think that does lean towards the 2019 repeat more. And the thing is, that hasn't happened yet. We're right at the same high we've been at for 2 years in dominance. If we reject now, go back down towards 40%-ish, bull run could be right back on. That's some clean hopium. Like that's good hopium. That's the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, we're going to transition here into stories, Tisha. We're going to skip market open today. We will do market open tomorrow. So no stocks today. We got a lot of juicy stories to jump into. And again, Tom, feel free to stick around. If you need to jump, no ill will towards us. You got to just get out and go do what you need to do. Tisha, why don't you go ahead and take us away into some of our big stories?
Absolutely, Tim. Well, starting off with the biggest story of the day, no matter what they tell you out there in crypto land, the biggest story here, it represented from Charles Hoskinson of all people, wishing a congratulations to the Polygon community. It's really cool to see innovation like this in the industry. And that, of course, is referring to this, that millions of constraints for man, unconstrained scalability for mankind. That is a quote from Vitalik, who was the first to send out a VK EVM message over on the new system that they've rolled out over there at Polygon. So really good for them. That has been a long time in the coming for that Polygon ZK Day 2.0 summit. It was really exciting to see that go on. Again, huge day for Ethereum layer 2s and a huge day definitely for scalability. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of bigger stories, a lot of stories with more fireworks, but this is a really big story for fundamental development of blockchain. Moving on into Washington, got 2 big hearings, one today, starting right when this stream ends. You'll want to go over to banking.senate.gov to find that hearing. The hearing title is Recent Bank Failures and the Federal Regulatory Response. And then one tomorrow at the same time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that is going to be the House doing pretty much the exact same thing, investigating why SVB was able to experience the downside that it did. All right, moving into the big story of the day, which is our thumbnail story about Binance and the CFTC. But before we get there, we have a new affiliate down in our YouTube description. So go ahead and check that out. You get a 15% discount on the tickets to Consensus 2023. And you've got 10 days and 14 hours before the price of those tickets go up. So go ahead and go over to consensus.coindesk.com and reserve your tickets now and use our code BROS for 15% off. Again, that is consensus.coindesk.com, 15% off, 10 days left to lock in at today's prices before they go up.
You know,
all right.
While we're on that topic, I'm excited because I get to go to this one. I don't get to go to Bitcoin 2023. Tom, I don't know if you're still with us. Are you going to a Consensus or to Bitcoin conference?
Yeah, I'm going to both.
Come
Sweet.
on.
I'll see you guys there.
So come to Bitcoin conference, hang out with Tom Crown and T Shroom, and then Consensus is first. So come hang out with me and T Shroom and Tom Crown in Austin, Texas first, and then if you still want to go down to I'm not excited about it because I don't get to go. But it should be.
Why aren't you
should be
going?
fun event.
You should go.
I have, my
I'll get you a
first
ticket.
child. I have a ticket. My first child is
Okay.
due the week after, so I
don't
would hate
go.
to be down there and be like,
Don't
oh
go.
no,
No,
gonna miss that.
no.
So,
No, that's
They
way
do
more.
They do have
There'll be more.
hospitals down
There'll
in
be more.
Miami.
well,
They've got
And
maternity
babysitters.
wards.
and babysitters. Yeah,
No,
Miami
no.
babysitters. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of
Oh,
babysitters, Piper, if you'll go back over to my screen, speaking of babysitters, the CFTC thinks that they are babysitters here, and this headline has manifested itself before our very eyes. Binance CEO ZZ sued by CFTC over willful evasion of U.S. laws, unregistered crypto derivative products. So this is the first time we're seeing this term on the scene here: unregistered crypto derivatives rather than unregistered securities. Very interesting development there. Again, you read that right. It's the CFTC, not the SEC, who is levying this regulatory action against Binance, not Binance US, just so everybody's tracking 100%. Getting into the details. The lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois on Monday alleged that Binance operated a derivatives trading operation in the U.S., offering trades for cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ether, Litecoin, Tether, and BUSD, which the suit referred to as commodities. So low-key a good thing that's happening, but that just opens one of the many layers to this story. Let's stay in the details. And they also accusing them of illegal off-exchange commodity options. And some more details here. Binance's reliance on a maze of corporate entities to operate the Binance platform is deliberate. It is designed to obscure the ownership, control, and location of the Binance platform, the filing said, adding that CZ answers to to no one but himself. So the CFTC, I just want to go ahead and throw it out to you guys to go ahead and comment on this because there's a ton of details here. There's an entire article here from Cointelegraph that's pretty cool. The 7 details in the CFTC lawsuit against Binance you may have missed. Guys, there's a lot of depth. There's a lot of layers to this. But we've got some very competent minds, some very experienced minds here in the crypto space, and we want to go ahead and throw it over to them. Before we do, this is just generally how CZ has responded in a blog post. He said, upon an initial review, the complaint appears to contain an incomplete recitation of facts, and we do not agree with the characterization of many of the issues alleged in the complaint. So, Tim, I want to throw it to you.
Yeah.
What is the biggest surprise about this whole story to you? How the heck did we wake up this Tuesday morning with this headline, and how do you react to this? What are you excited about, and what changes are you expecting?
Probably the use of the word recitation.
Recitation.
One I'd never heard of before.
It's the active tense of recite, which is interesting.
You always love learning a new vocabulary word. That's a big thing to me.
I do.
No, I think, before you get into the more bearish side of the stuff, it is very refreshing to see a lawsuit where all those altcoins are referred to as commodities. So that's very nice. If anything else, I'll be glad that CFTC is doing that. Because that's how I guess Gary Gensler and the Attorney General in New York think. If you just enter a lawsuit and call a proof of stake coin a security, then that makes it official. And then you can win your case. So good to see some pushback there. I think it's going to be interesting. I honestly don't know. I saw great memes on the internet yesterday about CZ and his many fake accounts. So it was good for meme life. I don't know. I honestly have no idea what's going to come of this. I did kind of put on Twitter, I was like, hey, how long before we finally trust Binance? And I want to get, if he's still here, I want to get Tom's thought on this too here in a second. And I don't mean, do we trust Binance in terms of hold your money there? I'm a big fan. Hey, if you're trading, find the trading exchange you need, keep your trading portfolio there to make trades. But then when you're done with your trading, get it off there, get into cold wallet. So when I say trust Binance, I'm not saying trust them in sense of, do we trust them, just leave all our money on their exchange? Shouldn't do that with anybody, no matter how valid they are. Get a cold wallet. What I'm saying, trust Binance, is they have had the kitchen sink and then some thrown at them several times this year. But unlike other exchanges like FTX and like Celsius and others, that at the first form of pressure, they crack and crumble and end up dying, Binance continues to hold steady. When people go and there's a little bit of a run and people want to withdraw their Binance just took that with ease, saying, you know what, that's why we hold your money here, so that if you want it back, it's your money. We don't own it. How long before we kind of stopped getting so crazy bearish because something new got accused at Binance. They've held up to every single accusation so far. This one's fresh. This one's new. Maybe there's something that'll stick, but let's say it's even legitimate. Is Binance going to be able to pay it off? Is Binance going to be able to run with the lawsuit, say, all right, we won't do that again, and continue to exist as a company? That would be majorly bearish. If something stuck to Binance, and if Binance ended up crashing, right now it is the largest exchange when it comes to crypto, that would be really, really bad news. That's why people are freaking out. But they've shown to be very resilient. And you see what I did there because of U.S. Bank. They're resilient, just like U.S. banks, only they actually are resilient. How long before we finally start treating them that way? Tom, I'm interested to hear what you think. What are your thoughts about this latest lawsuit?
Yeah, so many kind of brief thoughts here. One, it just seems kind of desperate. It seems like they're using the shotgun approach where we're just going to throw something at everything. We're going to see what sticks. And I think that even goes back to what we're saying about the XRP case, is they're looking to establish a strong precedent so they can go enforce whatever they want. How long is it going to be till we trust Binance? And again, yes, I'm going to reiterate, never trust an exchange in the sense of with your assets, et cetera. That's never. But I was the biggest, and obviously I'm kind of exaggerating, but I viewed myself as the biggest skeptic of Binance when they came out in like 2018. And I was like, this is some China exchange, man. If I put my assets there and something happens, there's no way I'm getting them back. I won't even be able to call someone. I was like, this is crazy. I'll never use them. And totally 180 on that over the last few years, because they didn't fail. They didn't steal everyone's assets. They've proven to be very solvent. Knock on wood that continues. I think, unfortunately, what we're going to see is the U.S. continue to push against specifically Binance, though we are seeing them do that to Kraken and Coinbase, but specifically foreign exchanges as it's further out of their control. And with this suit, my first thoughts were, one, is this like actually a surprise to them? Like, that they're trading against their customers? Isn't that what an exchange really does? Isn't that liquidity? Like when your customer takes along, like, I mean, you're basically adding liquidity. And if it isn't the exchange doing it, you're having a market maker come do it, which is what's the difference? I mean, I don't really understand. That's why I just think it seems desperate and kind of frivolous. But I think Binance is just going to continue to do what they've been doing. It's interesting that we've seen the exchanges that existed, I want to say pre-2019, seem to just be built different. They didn't do the wild speculation that we've seen in like FTX and whatever other exchanges, Bitslavo, whatever that was. They seem to, especially Kraken and Coinbase, just have a different approach, where that approach is, maybe more aligned with the crypto mindset. There's no such thing as a bank run here. Because you can't. We can't just print more Bitcoin. And I think Binance is in that umbrella.
I think a good clarification of that is all the exchanges that were made back then that have survived. Same thing with altcoins. They'll tell you, like, the altcoins we made, every single new bull run, new altcoins will pop up. The question is, which altcoins can survive one, if not multiple, bull and bear markets? I think it's going to be the same thing for exchanges. We're going to get new exchanges. People, when money's involved, people want to get their hands in there. The question is how long can an exchange last? How many bear markets can they last and still stay standing? It adds to validity. And I think Tom's hitting it right on the head there, is that Binance has been here. They've been around the corner a couple times. They're not going anywhere. FTX was newer. I know they existed, but FTX hadn't been tested in massive amounts of bear markets the way other exchanges had. So very, very interesting stuff.
Binance's strength, because they kind of started in the bear market. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just thinking, what other exchanges really have fallen? And we have like Quadriga, but like these things were rugs. They were scams. They weren't really exchanges. They weren't really operating honestly. And if I think of the ones that have fallen, I really can only think of FTX, Voyager, BlockFi, Celsius, Three Arrows, Almeida. Like, what else outside of the complete rug like Quadriga and things we've seen like that? I can't name them. Can you guys?
Well, I'd have to imagine there's several small ones that we've never heard the names of that have gone down. There definitely always going to be things like that. But I think that's a good point. I think that may be a video content idea, is how many exchanges are out there and how many have fallen. And very interesting. Yeah, well, we can go ahead and keep moving on. Good story there. We'll continue to unpack that as it develops, because this won't be the last day that's in the headlines. So when we know more about Binance and this lawsuit, we'll let you know.
Well, I wanted to give my take too,
Yeah.
the T-Shroom take. And I was telling Piper and Tim before the show that I had a deep take here, some 4D chess potential here, which is that what's going on today and tomorrow, guys. It's the TradFi, right? Similar phenomenon of this. It's the big banks, the big banking and big regulatory banking industries are being dragged into the Senate and the Congress, where of course it's a clown show to some extent. It's a lot of empty questions, but the optics of it, at least for the American people who still believe in democracy, are seeing it as the banks are getting a good finger wagging, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get to the bottom of something that may actually help us move forward in the world of traditional banking. I doubt that's going to be the case. But ultimately, what is the optic here is banks are bad because they're having to go see the principal. So what is a better thing to do if I'm the establishment, the financial establishment, in an interest group working for, big banks? Well, maybe I'll take a couple swipes at its competitor. And who is the biggest competitor? That'd be Binance. Binance Exchange is kind of the big bank, right, of the crypto world. So I think from an optics standpoint, the timing is very deliberate, very intentional, to go ahead and for the CFTC as well to be the one levying this legal accusation, right? I think it's very important to realize that is a deviation. For folks who are not familiar, the CFTC is very much seen as the more favorable regulatory agency. And you saw in that article different terms being used, it being called an unregistered derivative rather than an unregistered security. That is intentional. And remember, I said that is a good thing. It's low-key good. It's shadow good because it's still nested within a negative allegation against Binance Global. But as you can see, to summarize here, is the timing, I don't think is coincidental. I think the timing is very deliberate. I think it's a way to overshadow the headlines, the negative headlines of traditional banking and their foibles and their shortcomings and their ultimate future of perceived weakness by American 401k holders that could very easily go to their fiduciary, say, I want it all in Bitcoin, baby. Do a 50-50 split into Bitcoin and gold. Get me out of these US equities. Get me out of these treasuries today. And that could happen. That could absolutely happen. And I think that the big bank interest groups are going to do everything they can to prevent the maximum percentage of people from making those decisions. So the movement to crypto decisions. So that's kind of my take on this story. Where do I think it's going to go? I think this is the big one, guys. I think, usually I would say that Binance is going to be fine. They're just going to emerge from this unscathed. But the CFTC coming after you is kind of the big one. And it seems like they're going after CZ specifically. It would be tough to go after Binance, the entity, because it's such a slippery, non-national tied down entity. And there are so many shell companies kind of surrounding it as a tranche to prevent a moat, to prevent a real attack on it as a legal entity. But I think this could be a big one. And I think that the American government, the US government, the Western financial establishment is going to put all their resources behind this battleground. The timing is now for them. They see a huge risk of losing that reserve currency status. And they're going to do everything they can to fight off, the alternatives to that. And that's going to be Bitcoin. It's going to be the yen, and it's going to be gold. So continue to expect an onslaught of resources being thrown at those alternatives. But I think ultimately what happens, I think Binance wins the day because of technology, because the internet's too strong.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great observation there, Shroom. I do think this is a collected attack. I mean, and I don't know if we all necessarily even disagree with each other. Like Tom said, this was like almost a clown show. Like it's a desperation attack. They're just throwing everything they can at Binance. They're throwing everything that's a threat. I think you hit it right on the head there. And let's say they win. Let's say that they do have to pay a lot of money. Binance has shown that they have a lot of money that they can pay penalties and just keep on rolling, keep on strolling. I did want to say, do we have any more stories, T-Shroom, in a second?
Yes, there's one.
Well,
Yep.
I want to say that we had 180 people watching. I want to thank everybody who is here right now. Smash that like button because we still got a lot of people who are watching who have not smashed that like button. Also, even though we're not quite done yet, we're going to go a little bit more. I didn't get to mention this before. If you do not already follow Tom Crown, and I don't know why you wouldn't. If you're not following Tom Crown, you're doing something wrong with your life as well. Make sure in the description you go click on follow him on Twitter, subscribe to his channel. He usually goes live somewhere, he was telling us before, about 10:30 a.m. Correct, Tom Crown?
Yeah, it jumps around, but that's about right.
About right. So it's perfect. You guys are gonna be able to come in here, watch the Investing Bros. Although you gotta pick. Here's the thing: you gotta come in here and watch us. Then you get double monitors. You go watch Tom Crown over here. You're watching Kelly over here. We're gonna all collab together because we're good friends here. You're gonna have the best of all three worlds very, very soon in crypto. It's gonna be the best thing. Make sure you guys are following Tom. T-Shroom. I know it's 10 o'clock, but we're running a little bit long today. Cover the rest of these stories and then we'll close it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just summarize it for you guys. You don't even need to go to my screen. Michael Saylor and MicroStrategies, they bought a bunch of more Bitcoin in the first quarter. They bought $655 billion $6,555 Bitcoin worth 150 million in the first quarter. And the other significant detail is that Saylor also added that his company repaid its $205 million Bitcoin collateralized loan to Silvergate Bank in full at a 22% discount. So MicroStrategies no longer exposed to the toxic trust over there at Silvergate. So that is really good. That's a move in the right direction. While Binance is getting some negative press today, MicroStrategies is getting to announce that they are moving in a great direction there. That may not mean a bunch to noobs to crypto, but to vets to understand that's really big for the stability and the liquidity of Bitcoin and obviously MicroStrategies.
Awesome. Yep. Well, we're going to go ahead and close out the show. First, Tom, is there anything you'd like to say to our audience before we close out today's stream?
No, I actually was just about to jump. I was just about to jump out myself. Thanks for having me, guys. Great show. Thanks to all the viewers. Make sure you guys subscribe to these awesome guys. Hit the like button. You know what it is. I'll catch you guys soon.
Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, like I said, go follow Tom. Tomorrow, we do have a special guest as well. It's a lot of guests this week. Bill Noble will be joining the show. You don't want to miss it. He has some interesting theories about what this fall will look like for the stock market and what the beginning of the next bull market will really entail. Make sure you come back tomorrow morning, same time, same place, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are the Investing Bros. We love each and every single last one of you guys. Smash that like button and subscribe on your way out. With that said, though, we will see you guys tomorrow morning. You guys have a great day.